Welcome to the Unit Management Information Session. We're going to be talking about Management 1.0 Basics and Management 2.0 Advanced. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Aisha Bascaro, and I'm the founder and CEO of the American Franchise Academy. And we do these sessions every 3 months to be able to share with the people that are interested in our program to learn a little bit more about this particular program that is focused on providing the unit managers, single unit franchisees with the leadership and management skills that they need to be successful. So that is what today is all about. Not only are we going to talk about what is required for them to be successful, but all about the details of our program and how we can help you or your leaders achieve, receive that information and achieve the goals that they have for themselves and the unit that they lead. And so that's what this information is going to be all about. So as you are looking and hearing everything that we're sharing, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. In the chat, you're going to see Monica. She is our program manager. So you have any questions for her, she will be right there in the chat. So say hi to her. And with that, let's go ahead and get started since we have a lot of information to share with you today. Again, we are the American Franchise Academy, and we have been open since 2016, focus 100% on franchisee success and your business leaders, providing knowledge, tools, and resources so that the franchisees that invest in these programs and the leaders that they hire have what they need to be able to be successful. Our clients come from all kinds of industries. We focus on brick and mortar franchise businesses. We still have also some independent business owners or businesses that do invest in our programs for their people or for themselves. Because it doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether it's food service, personal service, education, retail, because what we do is we focus on the leadership and management of the business. To have a successful franchise business, you need to have two elements. The first one is the brand systems, and this is what you invested in when you acquired the franchise, right? The franchisor provides the product or service that you deliver, the service process, the image that obviously is part of it, and the marketing, assuming you're paying a marketing fee or they provide tools for that. So these are the brand systems, and the franchisor provides it. This is what you invested in when you became a franchisee. These brand systems bring you revenue. This is what attracts customers. They're bringing you money in exchange for that product or service that you deliver. But this is not enough to be a successful business owner. You also need to have the business systems. And these are the systems that you need to be able to manage your team, to ensure that your sales are up year over year, that you are actually getting profitable results out of the franchise you invested in, and that you are able to scale, because we all know one unit is a job, multiple units is an enterprise. And these systems, these processes are the franchisee responsibility, and the ones that give you the profitability of this franchise business. There is no franchisor in the world that will guarantee you profit when you invest in the franchise. What they are giving you is a proven brand, and based on how you manage it, will or will not provide the profit that you expect and deserve out of the investment that you made. And for that reason, there is training and support for unit operations, which is the brand systems, right? The franchisor gave you an ops manual, they give you training materials, maybe even an online system of videos and access to knowledge so that you can duplicate the brand, because that's what you invested in. But there's very little for unit leadership and management because of the business systems. And so the reason that franchisors don't provide that is for two reasons. Number one is cost and resources. Obviously, it would be like giving you or your managers and your leaders a business degree in franchise management. And if you go to college, that takes tens of thousands of dollars, right? And so they will have to charge you that much more to be able to provide that knowledge and support. So because of time and resources and money, they don't provide that. But the second reason, and the main reason why they don't do this, is because of these joint employer liability rules that say that if they do get into the realm of managing the team members in your organization, they now are jointly liable for that. This is some laws that came out in the last 15 years, and it's getting, it's gotten worse and better. And so they just like don't get into that area. So this is what's happening. And so because there's little, information and support in the business systems, a lot of franchisees are just left to learn those and figure them out on their own. And if you haven't had prior experience, then it is hard for you to figure out, and it takes time and effort, and you're just doing it every day. And on top of that, if you are growing multi-unit, you need to figure out a way to teach your unit managers how to do this. And your business profitability depends on that ability. So for that reason, the American Franchise Academy has developed training programs to be able to meet those needs that the franchisees and their leaders have. And we started with the Unit Management 1.0 Basics program. That is a program for shift leaders, assistant managers, unit managers, and single unit franchisees. Basically, anyone that is going to run a shift on their own. And then you have the Unit Management 2.0 Advanced, and that is for assistant managers that are about to be promoted to unit managers, or existing unit managers or single unit franchisees. These two programs are what we consider a unit management curriculum on how to be successful at running one franchise unit. Then as you grow into a multi-unit, either you yourself as a franchisee become a district manager, or you're going to hire a district manager. That's what the multi-unit leadership certification program is for future DMs, people that are about to be promoted into the district manager position, or people that already are district managers, or for franchisees that they themselves are overseeing multiple units and they have to be doing the job of a district manager. And then the last program in the academy is the multi-unit ownership certification. And this is for new franchisees that are going to be growing into a multi-unit, or franchisees that are already growing multi-unit, or existing multi-unit franchisees that are looking for the support, the knowledge, the tools to be able to manage the multi-unit organization and create the systems and processes they need to be able to do that and delegate operations. So that is our entire curriculum. However, today we're going to focus on the Unit Management 1.0 and 2.0 basics. And what I'm going to be covering is what is the curriculum. And as you see the curriculum, you're going to see, wow, this is what are the skills that a unit manager need to know to be successful at that position. They should not just be running a shift or taking care of customers. They have to be business managers to be able to do the best when it comes to the results of the business. So we're going to cover the curriculum. Then we're going to cover the methodology. How do we share this knowledge? How do we train this information to the participants of our programs? And then what should be the outcome that you should expect as a participant, or a business owner or leader that is investing on your people to go through these classes. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the investment. Like, how much money does it cost, Aisha? Because obviously we all want to know, what that is. So let me go ahead and start with the curriculum, right? What is a curriculum? And for you to understand a curriculum, I want you to know, or understand what is a system, right? And a system is a set of processes and procedures according to which something is done, an organized framework or method to achieve consistent results. This, by the way, is exactly why and how franchise model has been so successful, because every brand has created a system or a set of systems within their brand to be able that have processes and procedures and policies, aka standards, that if you repeat these processes and procedures consistently, you will have consistent results. That is how whenever you go into McDonald's, whether it's in Georgia, Alabama, New York, or Brazil, the Big Mac is the Big Mac no matter where you find it, because the systems have been created for that repetition and consistency of that brand. And that is the secret sauce of the model. Now, this is a system or the discipline process that needs to be applied in the business management side. And so our curriculum is based on that, teaching the participants what are the processes, procedures, and the policies that if you follow these in this way, you will be able to achieve consistent results. So with that being said, I'm going to go first over the curriculum of the Unit Management 1.0 Basics, okay? So first of all, it is a 4-week program. As you can see, the price is in $850. That is the investment. Considering what you're learning here, imagine this is literally a college level class on how to manage a franchise unit. So it has 4 modules. We focus on the module of lead, the module of staff, the module of sell, and the module of profit. And we deliver this over a 4-week program. So let's go a little bit detail into what this is. So first of all, in the module of lead, the first week, it is all about how to lead with confidence to inspire and motivate your team to achieve exceptional results. And those are a lot of big words. And what we do, remember, what are the process and procedures, and policies that you need to do as a leader to be able to achieve that? By the way, one of the things that we are proud in the academy is that we have no fluff, zero fluff. We don't talk in terms of generic things, right? We actually give you the tactical, practical process of what this looks like. How do you actually do it, and not just generic information? So in the lead module, first of all, we start with what are the 4 roles of a unit manager? Like, what is supposed to be that you're supposed to be doing and responsible for every single day? So we start there, because if you have that overarching view of that, now you understand the perspective in which you're supposed to be doing everything. Then we go and look at what are the manager job skills? What are the different skills that you need to have to be successful? And how do you see and evaluate where you are within them by doing a personal development plan? Not a personal development plan or performance improvement plan that is one of those disciplinary processes to eventually, maybe fire people. That's not what we're talking about here. We believe that all leaders should have a personal development plan process to be able to look at the skills that they have and where are their opportunities, so that they can create a structured format to improve upon them. Something else to know about our programs is, as you go into the weeks, the participants are actually working with a direct supervisor into reviewing this information, so that they can work together in doing these type of things like the development plan. So while we bring the information, the knowledge, the tools, the templates, the resources, like 80 to 90% of the way there are certain exercises in which there needs to be communication and alignment between the participants and the direct supervisor. So the manager job skills is one of those. Something else that we go over the lead program is time management. While it is true that 80% of the responsibilities that a manager does every day is dictated by operations, like you open the unit, you close the unit, you do schedules, you do product orders, you take care of customers, you take care of employees, you take care of your facilities, like all those things are dictated by day-to-day operations. But there's a certain 10 to 20% that the manager needs to manage their time to be able to execute successfully, like how to control the controllables, how to analyze the business, etc. So we actually do cover the time management skills that they need to be able to do that and not end up working 50, 60 hours to compensate for the lack of organization. Then we actually cover into the actions of an inspiring leader. We talk about, what is an inspiring leader, but not in the terms of generic things, but exactly what does it look like? What are they doing in the moment? And not only do we talk about that, but we actually have an evaluation done by the direct reports, so that we can get the feedback on how they are perceived with how they behave. What do they do and what do they not do? And based on this, there's another development plan that gets created so that they can improve, maybe in communication, maybe on fairness, maybe on caring. Like, what are the specific things that they're missing so that they can be an inspiring leader? And then we do go over situational leadership. How who we are, how do we adapt our leadership skills based on the employees or each particular person's motivation level and skill level? Because depending on where they are, you need to be a different type of, of a leader. Do you need to be coaching, or do you need to be more directive, or do you need to be more supportive? Like, why do you need to be? And the way you decide that, because you don't need to be the same for everybody, because everybody's in a different situation based on the skill you're talking about. So we actually go into exactly what that looks like so that they can adapt and be the leader that people are looking for. And then we talk about how to drive a positive culture, because even if the franchisee does a great job at creating a charter, mission, vision, and values, and maybe the district manager, when they come to the unit, they're actually inspiring, supporting. But the truth is, the unit manager and the assistant managers are in those units every single day, day in and day out. They are the ones that truly drive the culture. And so in here, they learn how they have that power and what does that look like? What does it seem and what do they need to do to actually own and drive a positive culture so that the environment in which people work is good and you can then retain the people and be able to achieve all the value of having a high retention level in the unit. So this is the lead module and what we covered during that class. And then we close the module with the business dashboard. And this is something that we build every module. We build it, one a little bit at a time every week, and we add more things to the dashboard because now we're exposing them to what are the key performance indicators. Why are those key performance indicators so important? And what is it that drives them? And how do you look at them on a week-to-week basis, not just today, not just now, but literally, how do you see where you're going, where you're trending, so that you can understand where you need to focus your attention to be able to produce positive results. So all of this in module 1. Then we go to module 2, which is a module of staff. And here is how to staff and operate your unit with great people. Like, what do you need to do? What are your responsibilities as a unit manager to be able to do this? So in this module, first of all, we learn about how to analyze your staffing needs. Where are your levels right now in each of the positions that you need? Where are the needs and are they specific needs? Is it a availability on days or times? Is it a personality need? Is it a experience need? Like we look at staffing not just as the number of people we need, but where we need them and what kind of person we need. And that is the level of detail that a unit manager needs to look at. So when they're looking for the next person, they're looking for the right person. So, so important. Within this, we then look at the employee life cycle. And the employee life cycle has the employee life cycle has 8 phases. So in the unit management basics, we cover the first 4 phases. And in the unit management advanced 2.0, we cover the other 4 phases of the employee life cycle. So what are the first 4 phases of the employee life cycle? Well, first of all, recruiting. How you as a unit manager have the power to go find the people for your unit, for your team, and what are the things that you can do that you're empowered to do in your community. Sometimes we are depending so much in social media and technology and platforms that we overlook the fact that locally we might have a source of amazing people that not only will be a great job fit, but also a great culture fit. And how unit managers are empowered to find their own people. So it starts with recruiting and the process to do that and identify potential great sources of great team members. The second one is interviewing. And this is the skills necessary to be able to really, truly understand who these people are that are applying for the job. Like, what do they look like? Because when people are applying for a job and they show up for the interview, they show up in the best behavior. Or so we would think, right? And so if that's the best behavior, it is our job or the job of the unit manager or single unit franchisee to be able to truly identify through the interview process who they truly are so that you can select the right people for your organization. So we go over behavioral interviewing process, why that's important, and how to do it exactly by position so that you can find out who they are and hire the right person. Then we go to the third phase of the employee life cycle, and that is the job offer. And yes, we call this a phase because the way in which you do an offer for the job actually sets the tone for the employee-employer life cycle relationship. And so how that is done and how do we document it and how we have the employee accepted will set the tone for the relationship. And so this is a very key phase in the employee life cycle. And the last phase of this part, or the fourth phase of the employee life cycle, is the onboarding process. And in here is how do we welcome the team member on their first day or the first couple of days, so that not only are we doing the paperwork, but that we're actually leaving them with a great experience as to what it's like to be working for you. One of the things that we always say is every time a new employee has the first day at work, they go home at the end of the day at some point, And when they walk into that home, where they are with their spouse or friend or mother, father, there will be one question they're going to ask. And the question is going to be, how was your first day? And how a manager executes that onboarding will determine the answer to that question. And if the answer is, it was fantastic, I am so glad I got that job, that would be an amazing thing. Now, you may never know, but did you do in the onboarding what was necessary to get that answer? Or was the answer, gosh, I don't know if I made the right decision, right? That could be another option. And so, how these managers and assistant managers execute this onboarding will be a key process on whether this employee is excited about being in the company or is already looking for the next opportunity. So these are the first four phases of the employee life cycle that are covered into Unit Management 1.0 Basics. And then also within this module, we cover the 8 profit control points of labor cost management. When you have, you have employees, clearly, if you have a brick and mortar and you have a business, you have team members. So you have team members, there is places along the line that are profit control points. That if these things are not done the right way, you will have wasted labor. And so we actually cover what are those 8 profit control points so that the manager understands what they are and what they do so that they can minimize their waste at each and every step. One of those steps is a critical step, that it is efficient scheduling. And so in here, we walk them through and we teach them the steps on how to have the right people in the right place, doing the right thing at the right time. And the way, obviously, we couldn't teach how to build a schedule for a spa versus food service versus retail, because it's all different. However, the process to determine that, the way that you should approach labor cost management and an efficient schedule is the same. And that's what we teach in this module. So all of this is what we cover in the second module of staff. So that brings us to the third module, and that's the module of sell. And in this module, we teach how to capture, retain, and increase sales year over year. It is true that we're in a brand, and if you are a franchise and you are paying marketing fees, they are doing some marketing, maybe national, maybe regional, but no franchisor, none, will come to your neighborhood, knock on your neighbor's door, and say, hey, come and buy Legos from the store. Hey, come to this spa over here, or hey, come and buy a pizza from us. No franchisor will do that. As a business owner, as a unit manager, you need to own your sales. Pass beyond the opening when the brand did what the brand's supposed to do. If you want to continue to have growth sales, you need to own your sales year over year. So in this module, well, we cover first and foremost, what are the elements of sales and how do they get affected by what you do every day, right? Transactions and ticket. How what you do every day will affect those positively or negatively. Then we cover what are the sales channels? Where is the revenue coming into your business? And how can you affect each of those revenue channels and how it affects the results of your sales? In this module, we also cover upselling. And while I do know that some franchise businesses do talk about upselling, in here, what we do is we bring it all the way to the financial impact. Not just that it's good, not that it is customer service oriented, but what is the financial impact when you do upselling in your business? And when we bring that awareness of the financial impact, then how managers and leaders approach this particular responsibility changes completely. The next thing that we talk about is cash management. And I know that some of the brands no longer have cash, manage cash, but if these managers are at the moment or in the future managing cash, they need to know how to do it. And so we actually do talk about cash management, register management in all the processes, security that they need to follow so that they can secure and protect the money that's coming into the business, which is part of the having your sales increases, right? And so we do teach them about register management and, and how to manage it in a way that not only reduces the exposure of issues with the money, but also reduces the exposure of potential theft opportunities. And then in here, we also talk about customer experience and how the customer experience affect your business and how we need to be careful. And this is something that is also covered by some franchisors, but again, we bring it down to the business financial level results. So that because what one of the purposes of this program is to have managers go from, running a particular spa or gym or pizza place to actually understand that they're managing a business, right? And so that's the perspective that we are giving them. We want through these weeks, we want them to have a paradigm shift of what it is that they're doing every single day. And with that, of course, we bring them awareness on business reputation. A lot of brands do have, surveys, but sometimes we don't pay attention of what is the reputation out there in social media. And not just from Google reviews, but from all the different places where we can see the reviews and the feedback from the customers. And we must own that business reputation, because sometimes we're doing everything right, but if there's something happening that we're not paying attention to, our sales could be down even though we're doing everything else right. And so we definitely want to bring awareness to this situation. So this is the module of sell and the week 3 content, which then brings us to the 4th week, and that is the week of profit. And here is how do you manage your unit's controllable costs to achieve the business and financial results. At the end of the day, the manager, who by the way is the most important team member in a franchise organization, because they decide the profitability of the business every day. So they need to understand what is it they're doing every day and how they can make a change in the things that they can control. So it first starts with understanding the power of 1%. And for this, we go through an exercise of what it means when you improve labor costs, cost of goods, or sales by just 1%. It sounds so small, but when they realize the financial impact over a day or a week or a month or even a year, they realize that that 1% is not so small anymore. Also, we also teach them the difference between controllable versus non-controllable costs, because it's important to have that distinction. And once you have the distinction, then we go into how to control the things that you can control, right? Which is controlling the controls. What are the steps to follow to be able to achieve the goals that are set for you from the business owner, your direct supervisor, but maybe before there was not a framework in which to be able to do that and be able to troubleshoot so that you can have the results that you want in the business that you're managing. In this module, remember in the staffing module, we talked about the 8 profit control points for labor and how to do a schedule. In here, we actually go into the ideal product cost, whether it's a product or service cost. Because if you are using products to deliver the product or the service, you need to know about the ideal or slash theoretical product cost. And we actually give them an education on this. Now, I know that some industries, like for example, education or even health and wellness, like gyms, do not have a product cost, and I understand, but the vast majority of businesses do, and that's why when we are giving these men and women this education, we're not just thinking about one particular industry, but in general. And even if in your particular unit, this is not something that is important, it just still adds to the value of their knowledge. But if you are in a retail or food service business, this is going to be a critical way to understand how you need to manage your cost of goods. And the first step is to understanding ideal product cost. The next is like I mentioned in staffing module, we talked about the 8 profit control points of labor cost. In here, we talk about the 12 profit control points of cost of goods management. Because if you have product as one of the things that you sell, whether you are food service, personal service, or retail, and yes, personal service, because if you're personal service, you use products to deliver that service, right? If you have a spa, if you do facials or nails or eyelashes, there is product involved in this. And for that, there are 12 points along the life cycle of the cost of goods that as a manager and leader, you need to be able to manage to minimize the waste of that particular element. And in many industries, the cost of goods is the highest expense. The second one in other industries will be labor cost. So either your highest expense is either labor or cost of goods. And then the third will be, of course, rent. So this will give them the tools and the framework on how to minimize waste. And then we do teach them the inventory process. What are the steps to conduct an inventory process so that if, ideally, we do teach them that the best way to control your cost of goods is through the inventory process. Meaning, I know that many franchisees use the invoice based cost of goods, but we actually teaching them how to do inventory so that they can have inventory based cost of goods. And so they do learn how to do this in the program. So that is the last part of the module 4, and that completes the program. So what I like to do now is I like to for you to hear from one of our graduate students, because I can say all these things, but really what I want you to hear is what does it look like or sound from the experience of a graduate of our program. So let's hear from her. So I've learned Oh, actually, let me make sure that you can hear. I'm not sure if I put any sound share. Okay, yeah. And also if you, yeah, so there you go. Okay, perfect. There you go. Let's hear from her. Okay.
So I've learned a lot of things that have been very beneficial, and I've already been applying. But the biggest thing for me is something we learned early in the class, using a calendar and putting things. I was always double booking myself, and now that I'm using a calendar, my employees can count on me to be at the place when I'm supposed to, and I'm not getting things mixed up all the time. So I feel like making sure that your employees can rely on you is a really, really big thing. The other thing is the interview process and the employee life cycle. I feel like a lot of times my interviews were really rushed. So learning the behavioral questions and just really being able to dig deeper and really get to know who these people are and see if they're a right fit for the business is really going to benefit us a lot. And we've had a little bit of issues with turnover, so I'm hoping that will help a lot.
Definitely. She was a great student. And, one of the things that was interesting for us, we did not realize we added the time management training because we knew that about 20% of the time they needed to be managed. But it really, as we have graduating classes and people mention and appreciate being able to learn how to manage the time better, it really, I mean, number one, glad that we added that to the program. And number two, understood how important it was for them. So that's Arabella. So with that, that is for the unit management 1.0. Now I'm going to cover the 2.0 content. And something that's important for you to know is that the 2.0, the requirement to go to the 2.0 is 1.0. So you cannot just jump into 2.0. You have to go through the 1.0 to get the baseline, understand the basics. I mean, labor cost management, cost of goods management, employee hiring, like that. Those are the baseline to then be able to get into the advanced level. And in this program, it is 5 modules. As you see, the price is $950, and it's a 5-week program. Each week is one module. So we still have the same name modules, but of course, the content that we cover is the next higher level. So lead, staff, sell, profit, and thrive. And so I'm going to cover a little bit, sort of quickly what the content is so that you are aware of it. But again, know that you have to go through the 1.0 first. So let's start with the lead module and what do we cover in here. So first of all, we talked about how to inspire people in the first module, but in this one, it's all about understanding human motivation. And here we talk about the many personalities. We actually do a personality test so that they know where they are and they find a way to be able to do personality tests on their people. We also cover their stories and because we've come to work with all of who we are, and our stories, our background, what we've been and what we've been through is part of of who we are and as a leader. So we do talk about that. We talk about the difference between leading a shift and managing a shift, and provide tools to be able to do that. Which, by the way, as we go through the lessons, if there is any template or tool or form that they need, it is provided as part of the program. That's what the shift management tool is. So if you have that one in your organization and it's as good or better than what we provide, then that's what they will be using. We actually go into train a trainer. What are the steps to train someone successfully and effectively? And in one of the things that we've done now in the unit management 1.0, we talked about the dashboard, which gets built upon. We talked about KPIs, key performance indicators. But in Manage 2.0, we teach these men and women how to read and build a profit and loss statement. And we do that because many of them are running 500,000, a million, 1.5 million. As a matter of fact, I was speaking with a client this morning. Her managers are running a $2.8 million business. And if they don't understand how to read a P&L, they will not understand that they're running a business. And so part of this is every module, every week, we're building on the P&L. And in this particular one, we cover the revenue. In the second module, then, is the module of staffing, and here we cover the cost of turnover. So we actually calculated financially what is the cost of turnover, again, to bring awareness of what they do and how it affects what you do every day. We do cover employee experience. We actually do an employee survey to learn from them what the experience is like and see where the opportunities are. And we cover the last 4 phases of the employee life cycle. Remember how, and this is the retention phases. On module 1.0, we are covering the first 4 phases, which is the hiring phases of the employee life cycle, which is recruiting, interviewing, hiring, onboarding. In here, we cover the last 4 phases, which is the retention phases of training, motivating, disciplining, and separating. And then here we also cover how to handle incidents and accidents, because the last place or moment that you want to teach somebody how to handle something is when it's happening. And so we actually give them a process and a tool to be able to address whenever there's an incident or an accident that's going on. And in this module, we then cover the variable costs. So in module 1, revenue, module 2, variable costs. In the third module of sell, we now talk about unit maintenance and how that is important to be able to have sales, because if something is broken, not working, then you have the potential of losing sales because either you don't have a product available or you have a customer poor experience. Then we also cover critical customer concern handling. Like if there's a critical issue, how should you as a leader handle that issue in a way that not only does the customer feel satisfied, but they get a positive experience even at the end. We also talk about brand audit inspections and how they happen and why they happen and how to prepare for them so that you can be successful at it. And then, of course, because it's all about sales, we do cover these steps in the process on how to build a local store marketing plan that actually produces results, and how you co-create that with your district manager. And in here, in the profit and loss statement section, we now cover the fixed costs. So as you see, little by little, we're building up the P&L. And then the last module is the module of profit. And here we talked about the business trinity, which are the 3 most important numbers in your business. Then we go back and remind them about the dashboard and how you should do that and use that to make decisions. But then we go deep into the critical drivers and a troubleshooting guide. And this is something that we realized it was so missing, because we say, hey, reduce your labor, lower your cost of goods waste. But a lot of times we don't give them the how. Like, what are the drivers of that waste and how do I handle them, right? So that's what the critical drivers is lesson and a troubleshooting guide that we actually provide, and they continue to build. Then we talk about financial targets, because at this point we now finish the P&L with the operational profit, and we teach them how to then create financial targets based on what they believe is possible to do with sales, with labor, with cost of goods, or whatever controllable costs you may have in the business. And so they learn how to project profitability for this particular unit. And then the last module is the module of thrive. We wanted to give them something that will be able to hold them and move them forward for the rest of the time. So you have this knowledge, but now how do you make sure that you ongoingly are improving and continue to grow and to be successful? And so we go through the steps to define business and people goals. Oh, here's what we do the troubleshooting guide. So we talk about the critical drivers in the prior module, but here we build them into a troubleshooting guide, and how to build business action plans that you do with the team to change the result of the business. or people development plans that are specific for one person. And when you have all of this information, you're able to cause sustainable change. And that's what this Thrive module is all about. Now, how do we, as you see, it's a lot of information. Literally, in these two programs, we are giving people a business degree in franchise management. No fluff. We don't talk about China and what's happening with microeconomics. We literally are giving them the tactical, practical knowledge they need to successfully run one franchise unit. So, how do we transfer this knowledge? You saw the content. How do we transfer this unit? Oh, is that a question, Monica?
Yes.
All right, so let's see what the question is. How much time should we expect the manager to take each week? Great question, Russell. I am going to share that with you in just a moment. It is part of what we're going to talk about because it's important, right? They don't have a lot of time. They're not going to be off, but while they're doing that. So let me go into the methodology, and then you'll see the time. Okay. So first of all, the methodology starts like this first. So they do have recorded online lessons that are online. We have an app so they can see them on their phone, or they can be in a personal computer or tablet 24/7. So before and with that, we mail them, once the people enroll, we will mail them a workbook. And the workbook, as they're watching the lessons, they're going, and I'm going to show you, it's right here. So here's the workbook. We will mail this as soon as people register. We'll mail this workbook, and you're going to see that what it is fill in the blanks. So as they're watching the lessons, they are filling the blanks in the workbook, because that workbook will be like their guide for the rest of their career, right? So they complete the workbook, and they can do it anytime. As soon as they register the first week, the modules drop every week, a new module drop, and then they can just go ahead and watch the lessons. Once they watch the lessons, which is the first thing they need to do, they will come every week, right? If it's 1.0, it means, 4 weeks, one time a week, 90 minutes a week, to a call with an instructor. And what we do in the call is we discuss the topics they just watched in the lessons. We go deeper into them. We hear from all the students. All the students are in this Zoom call. Think of it how college was delivered with COVID, when COVID happened. We have been doing this before COVID was a thing, by the way. We were doing Zoom before Zoom was a thing, because what we deliver is the management and leadership. We did not need it to be in person. So in those calls, we go deeper into the conversations of what it is that they learn and hear from each other. After the call with the instructor, so first lessons they watch, right? Complete the workbook. They go into a classroom 1 day a week, 90 minutes, to go through discussion calls. And then they have assignments that they have to implement. They apply what they learned. We call them action items, okay? And it is no fluff. I promise you, there's no wasted homework. It is not silly, homework. It is literally applying what they're learning. So we're teaching them how to do behavioral interviewing. They had to download the template and actually conduct an interview following the steps that we taught them. And then they had to submit that to us. They had to submit the proof that they applied it, so that we can then verify that. If we're going to give you a diploma of completion from the 1.0, and even furthermore, a certification when you finish the 2.0, we need to know that you know how to do the things. And the only way to do that is to submit to us those action items of the applying of the knowledge. And that's how you, if you're a franchisee or business owner, will know that if this is the case, that if they're submitting all these things, they are learning. And so at the end, there is the final exam that they do have to pass with 90% or higher. And there will be accountability throughout the process, right? So for example, in the instructor-led calls, 90 minutes, they have to be present. They have to be with the camera on. Otherwise, they're not counted as present. And if they miss more than one call, more than one class, they may not get the diploma. So there is accountability. Again, they had to submit 100% of the action items for them to be able to graduate. So that's the accountability that's built in, that you know that they're learning. This is not just here's some videos and good luck. We do not believe that people learn that way. And so that's something very, very important. And we also, by the way, have applied gamification along the way. So every module in Classroom, we do have a gamification process so that it also makes it fun. And also we added a gamification process at the end to prepare for the final exam in a way that is fun, but that they're learning, which is so important. And again, if they do meet the requirements, they will get a diploma of completion for 1.0, and when they graduate from 2.0, a certification. So what's the outcome that you should expect from this? Well, first of all, they understand what the leadership strengths and weaknesses are, what are their own, and how to develop others too, by the way, because they want to develop themselves, but you want them to be able to develop their assistant managers and the shift leads, right? So part of the process that we give them is a process that they can apply to others. They will learn how to drive a positive culture because as the leader, they are the ones that drive it. They will know how to recruit, interview, and hire great people and set the tone of the employer-employee relationship. How to understand the revenue and the power of upselling. How to understand the importance of customer experience. How to manage and control labor costs. How to manage and control cost of goods. Understand the KPIs and the impact that they can have on them. And of course, they will know what are and how to control the controllable costs. All of this out of Manage 1.0 class. So again, time commitment every week. The recorded lessons are between 1 and 2 hours. The lessons are like 10 to 15 minutes. These are not long, boring lectures. Again, literally tactical, practical. Step 1, step 2, step 3, the how and the why for it so that there is buy-in. And then, of course, the discussion calls, they're 90 minutes or 1.5 hours. The ones for the 1.0 are on Wednesdays, 10:30 a.m. to 12 noon. The ones for Manage 2.0 are on Thursdays, 10:30 a.m. to 12 noon. That's when the classes are happening. Action items are 1 to 2 hours, depending on the level of expertise. If they've been doing this for a while, it's much faster for them. If they're brand new, if they're about to be promoted, and this is the first exposure, it might take them a little longer, but know that they are actually doing the work that they need to do as a manager. So to answer your question, Russell, about 4 to 5 hours a week, again, 4 weeks. And if you are able to provide this to your manager, imagine 4 to 5 hours a week for 4 weeks, how much new knowledge, skills, and ability that now they need to implement, obviously, they're going to have from this program. I mean, what we see is just amazing and fantastic. Now, there are 2 registration options. Number 1, the standard, because right now what we have available to you is Manage 1.0 if you have not done it, because you can't go to 2.0. So you can register to Manage 1.0 at $850. If you have more than 1 student, though, there is volume discount. So if you want to register more than 1 person, then just send the message to Monica. Monica, can you please put your email on the chat? And you let her know how many, and she will give you the discount code. Or you can go ahead and get the bundle. Remember that the Manage 1.0 is $850. The 2.0 is $950. So it's $1,800 for the both. But if you buy the bundle, which is Manage 1.0 and 2.0, you get $100 off. Now, we teach these classes once a quarter. So right now, we as of today, by the way, we're opening for the fall class that starts in October. And so we're opening the enrollment right now. So let's say that you did the bundle and that your participant is going to go through Manage 1.0 in the fall. Then they can go through Manage 2.0 either in winter, which is January, or they can do it in the spring, which is April. It's flexible. We will find out from you, when do you want them to go through the 2.0. Another question that we have had is if you have more than 1 person, then the volume discount applies the same way. So all we need to know is how many people you want to enroll. And based on that, we will give you the discount code, okay? All you have to do, if you're ready to go and you know this is what you want for your people, all you got to do is go to manageenroll.com. If you only have 1 person, you can go to manageenroll.com. Enrollment is open as of now. And then you can register them. If you have more than 1 person, just get the discount code from Monica and she will provide that for you. So I would like you to hear from 1 more person before we continue.
The main thing I would take away from the class is organization. I know for one, my calendar wasn't even that good. You guys emphasized that a lot. Me with like having more of a just managerial role on my plate, other things I'm doing, and needed to be organized. And plus that helps me with my numbers, knowing what I'm measuring is what I'm moving. I get to know like my dashboard a lot more because like those numbers were kind of like foreign to me at first. I didn't have the degree in like business or like marketing or anything. It was sports management. So a lot of that was like dealing with like sports and entrepreneurship. So just like learning the new job that I'm going into is big for me. So organization is pretty much the biggest thing, and just understanding my culture. We're in our slow period of time right now, and we have like high schoolers that's underneath. So things are a little bit too like slow for them. They can get bored and they don't even want to be at the job a lot like that. Even though it's not COVID at the time, which it was kind of hard at just to keep people around. So understanding my culture, knowing when and how to like talk to them and like how to push them to like get to the goal we are, which is going to help me represent the brand, the business, the people, and even represent my owners.
One of the interesting things, I don't know if you caught that, Michael has a degree in sports management, but nowhere in there did they teach him anything about small business management and owner, and running it. And so he did not know about the key performance indicators. He didn't have a dashboard. He didn't understand cost control. And, what he got out of this program was, pretty amazing. So of course, who is this for? For new managers that I just started, or even experienced managers that never received this type of structured learning. Assistant managers, again, if they're running one shift, they should learn this information because they're managing the labor, they're managing the cost of goods, they're managing customer experience, right? They're managing employee motivation. So they should also get this type of training. And of course, if you are a single unit franchisee, this is a great program for you. So right now, the Unit Management 1.0 class for the fall starts October 15th. Enrollment is open today. You see how it goes. We do have the onboarding on the 15th. All we're doing that day is technology, make sure that everybody's set up properly because, of course, we're using platforms to manage everything. And we want to make sure that the managers and the participants the technology is not a barrier for learning. And then we start with the first class on the 22nd, second class on the 29th, and we have a skip week, okay? And we didn't have this when we first launched this program, but we learned that these managers are very busy and their action items, they're things that they had to implement and submit to us. And some of the things are things that they were not doing before. And so they do need that extra time. So in that skip week, there is no class that day. And it's just a way for them to catch up with the action items that they had to do so that there's no overwhelming for them. Then we have module 3 with Cell, and then module 4, and then you see there's another skip week. And that skip week is designed for them to finish off the things from module 3 and 4 and to study for the final exam. So they have an extra week of no classroom with the instructor so that they can focus on completing the action items and preparing for the final exam, which is in December 1st. By the way, that skip week also happens to fall on Thanksgiving week too, which would have been a problem. And if they successfully complete the final exam and all the requirements, there is a graduation event. All we do is invite them and you, direct supervisors, to join us on a celebration of what they have accomplished. We do have a maximum class size of 25 students. Registration is open today. We already have a couple of spots taken because we have, people from the wait list from the summer class that couldn't make it to the class. So we had to ask them to wait till the fall. Because we do keep that maximum size of 25 students. So that is the calendar. And of course, there will be details on it. Again, if you have more than one student that you would like to enroll, all you need to do is let Monica know that. And we will provide you with a volume discount so that you have that discount. And so let's hear from one more candidate.
One of the most important things has been the dashboard. For me, don't having that knowledge, it means a lot. And I'm using it like every day to take a better decisions. Using my calendar as well, it helps me to keep track on everything that I have to do. And people can rely on whatever I said because I'm going to do it no matter what. I have been looking for some knowledge to get better, because my goal is to get to a district manager or something better position, right? So I asked this customer, he has a lot of franchises, and he said, oh, you have to talk to Aisha. She's an amazing teacher and you will love her classes and everything. So he was the one who started giving me your information. And here I am. I really appreciate it. And trust me, I love the class.
So something really interesting about Claudia is that she's actually come from a independent business. and she was just looking herself for the knowledge. She just wanted to be able to have the training because she did not go to college, and being where she was not getting the education in business management. And I mean, she's been our superstar student. She's graduated from the 1.0 and the 2.0, and she's doing amazing. So that is for, for her. So again, registration is open as of right now. The standard, for the 1.0 is $850. If you want to be able to take advantage and get the discount for the bundle, then all you do is ask Monica. She will give you the link for that. Monica, again, put your email in the chat. Or if you're ready to enroll, just go to manageenroll.com and you will be able to get your participant enrolled on the programs. Well, again, thank you for being with me today. Like I said, enrollment is open as of today. We already have a couple of spots that are taken. So if this is the program for you, jump in, get in before the spots are taken. We have one class on every quarter, and this is the one that we have. So thank you for being with me today. I really appreciate it. If you have any questions, our contact information, if you're watching this as a recording, by the way, the contact information will be in the description. So we will be happy to answer any questions you may have and see you guys in class in October. All right. Thank you, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.